The industrial district stretches for miles along the eastern corridor, where warehouses tower over cracked asphalt lots and 18-wheelers rumble past chain-link fences day and night. This is the backbone of legitimate commerce, where metal gets shaped and products get shipped across state lines. Among the dozens of operations clustered in this zone, one auto body shop has operated for 7 years without raising a single red flag. State inspectors sign off on permits every quarter, business licenses hang framed in the front office, and everything looks completely legitimate. The owner presents himself as a hard-working entrepreneur who built his business from the ground up. Tax returns show modest profits year after year. Employee records list 12 mechanics on payroll, and the shop services fleet vehicles for 3 local companies. Customer reviews praise quick turnaround times. Insurance auditors find nothing irregular in the books, and the business maintains a solid reputation in the community. Everything appears routine in a neighborhood built entirely on routine operations and predictable workflows. Federal agents receive an anonymous tip on a Tuesday morning, claiming something doesn't add up at the facility. Surveillance teams deploy within 48 hours, setting up observation posts in 3 locations with clear sight lines to the building. They photograph truck movements, document shift changes, track delivery schedules, and for 6 weeks they build a comprehensive pattern map. Nothing immediately screams criminal enterprise, but subtle inconsistencies emerge in the data that experienced investigators recognize as potential indicators of hidden operations. Power consumption charts reveal massive electricity usage, with the building drawing 3 times more energy than comparable facilities in the same industrial park. Thermal imaging shows heat signatures inconsistent with standard auto repair operations, with hotspots concentrated in areas where no equipment should be running at night. Delivery trucks arrive at odd hours, always after midnight, and the same unmarked vehicles appear weekly, staying only 15 minutes before departing. GPS tracking indicates these trucks travel across state lines immediately after each visit, heading to distribution hubs in neighboring states where the trail goes cold. Financial forensics teams dig deeper into banking records, tracing wire transfers that originate from shell companies in 4 different states. Purchase orders list industrial equipment far beyond what body shops typically require. CNC machines, precision tooling, heavy-duty metalworking equipment worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The owner has traveled to manufacturing expos in 7 states over 2 years, and credit card statements show bulk purchases of raw materials, metal stock, and specialized components. None of this fits the profile of a small auto repair business, and the financial footprint suggests something much larger deliberately concealed behind a facade of automotive legitimacy. An undercover operation begins in month 3 of the investigation. An agent poses as a distributor seeking large-scale parts suppliers, making contact through encrypted messaging platforms that criminals favor for their anonymity. The owner remains cautious, asking probing questions and testing the agent's credibility with technical details only someone in the business would know. After 2 weeks of careful communication, a face-to-face meeting gets scheduled at a diner 12 miles from the actual facility. During the meeting, coded language dominates the conversation. The owner speaks about special inventory and custom fabrication services, references exclusive clients, and discretionary delivery schedules that suggest operations outside normal business channels. When the agent presses for specifics, the owner suggests visiting the facility for a private demonstration, but the invitation comes with strict conditions: no phones, specific entry times, and absolute discretion. The agent agrees to all terms. Understanding this represents a critical breakthrough in the investigation. The facility tour happens on a Thursday night at 2 a.m., when the legitimate staff has long gone home and only the underground operation continues running. The front section looks exactly as advertised. Hydraulic lifts, diagnostic equipment, vehicles in various stages of repair, all illuminated by standard fluorescent lighting. The owner guides the agent through this area quickly, barely stopping to explain operations, because this is just the surface layer, the legitimate face shown to inspectors and casual visitors. Then comes the transition to the hidden operation that federal agents have been trying to confirm for months. A storage room at the rear of the building appears unremarkable from outside, just another closet filled with spare parts and cleaning supplies. Inside, what looks like a supply closet actually conceals a reinforced steel door built into the back wall, invisible to anyone who doesn't know exactly where to look. The owner enters a 12-digit code on a hidden keypad, and hydraulic mechanisms engage with a deep mechanical hum. The entire back wall slides aside, revealing a staircase descending into darkness below the main floor. The underground facility spans 5,000 square feet, carved out of the earth beneath the building and reinforced with concrete and steel. LED work lights illuminate a fully operational manufacturing complex that rivals legitimate factories in sophistication and organization. CNC machines line one wall, computer-controlled precision equipment worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, while assembly stations occupy the center area, each configured for specific production tasks. Quality control stations feature testing equipment, measurement tools, and ballistics verification systems, with storage racks towering along the far wall holding finished products wrapped in protective materials and organized by specification. Production runs 24 hours across 3 shifts, with workers wearing protective equipment, following strict protocols, and maintaining detailed production logs. The operation mirrors legitimate manufacturing in every technical aspect. Workflow optimization, quality control procedures, and inventory management systems that would impress any industrial engineer. Each unit undergoes rigorous testing before approval. Serial numbers get assigned, inventory gets logged, and packaging follows precise specifications. The only difference is that none of this operation exists in any official registry, making it completely invisible to regulatory oversight. The scale becomes apparent as the tour continues deeper into the facility. One section handles raw material processing, converting bulk metal stock into precision components using computerized milling machines operated by trained technicians. Another area focuses on assembly, where workers construct complete units following detailed technical specifications, developed over years of refinement. A third zone manages finishing work, applying protective coatings, and conducting final inspections before products get approved for distribution. The workflow demonstrates sophisticated organization, with efficiency metrics posted on walls and production quotas tracked on digital boards that show productivity levels matching or exceeding legitimate operations. Storage capacity reveals the true magnitude of the operation. The underground facility connects to 3 additional hidden rooms through concealed passages built into the foundation during the original construction. Each room stores completed inventory, organized by specification and production date, creating a vast underground arsenal that federal agents wouldn't discover until the raids months later. Conservative estimates place the total count above 4,000 units, with some products appearing destined for bulk distribution and others configured for specialized applications. The owner explains his distribution network during the underground tour, describing a system so sophisticated that it fooled law enforcement for 3 full years. 12 distributors across 8 states receive regular shipments, with each believing they're dealing with a legitimate wholesale supplier, backed by proper documentation. Paperwork appears professional, invoices look standard, and shipping manifests seem routine enough to pass casual inspection. The products get integrated into various supply chains, eventually reaching end users who never question the origin, as every layer maintains plausible legitimacy with each distributor insulated from knowledge of the others. Transportation logistics demonstrate careful planning developed over years of trial and error. Modified trucks feature hidden compartments built into cargo areas, designed by former automotive engineers who knew exactly how to conceal spaces from casual inspection without triggering suspicion. Regular freight gets loaded normally on top, concealing special inventory underneath in compartments accessible only through hidden hydraulic releases. GPS tracking shows legitimate delivery routes with scheduled stops at known businesses, and if authorities ever inspect cargo during routine traffic stops, they find standard automotive parts and legitimate shipping documentation, while the hidden compartments remain undetected. Money laundering operations run parallel to physical distribution, creating a financial maze that takes federal investigators months to untangle completely. Payments flow through a network of 23 shell companies, each incorporated in different states with different registered agents and different business classifications to avoid pattern recognition. Each transaction appears legitimate on paper. Wholesale purchases, distribution fees, service charges, and consulting fees that accountants would recognize as normal business expenses. Tracing any single payment leads investigators through multiple jurisdictions, with each transfer technically legal, but collectively forming an elaborate financial structure designed specifically to obscure the flow of illegal profits. The undercover agent maintains cover while documenting everything with hidden recording devices that capture conversations and micro cameras that photograph production areas. Each visit provides additional evidence, building a comprehensive case that prosecutors will later use to secure convictions against dozens of defendants. The owner grows more confident with each meeting, revealing operational details, introducing the agent to key distributors, and even discussing expansion plans for additional facilities in 3 more states. He has no idea he's systematically building the case against himself. Federal coordination begins in month 5 of the investigation, when the scope of the operation becomes fully clear to ATF headquarters. Evidence gets compiled into prosecution packages. Legal teams prepare warrant applications mapping every location and every individual involved. And tactical teams begin rehearsing raid procedures using facility layouts obtained through surveillance. The goal is to dismantle the entire network in one coordinated action, giving no one time to warn others or destroy evidence before federal agents can secure all locations simultaneously. Surveillance intensifies in the final weeks before the operation, as teams track every vehicle, photograph every individual, and monitor every communication channel they've identified through months of investigation. The network proves larger than initial estimates suggested, with 14 primary locations identified and another 9 sites showing probable connections through financial records. Over 60 individuals appear involved in various capacities: production, distribution, financial management, and logistics coordination. Financial analysis traces laundered funds exceeding $12 million over 3 years, and the scope demands unprecedented coordination between federal and state agencies. The operation launches at dawn on a Tuesday morning. 200 federal agents execute synchronized raids across 8 states, with tactical teams hitting primary targets simultaneously to prevent warnings from spreading through the network. Tactical teams breach the primary facility while the night shift is still working underground, catching workers in the middle of production runs. Workers freeze as armed agents flood the space, announcing federal authority and ordering immediate compliance. No shots are fired, no resistance is encountered, and within 8 minutes, the entire underground facility sits under federal control, with every worker detained for questioning. Simultaneous raids hit every connected location: distribution centers in 6 states, storage facilities in 3 more, and financial offices in 2 major cities. Each location yields evidence, inventory, and documentation that prosecutors will use to build their cases against all defendants. Agents discover 2 additional hidden manufacturing sites during the raids, both operational and both producing similar products, completely unknown to investigators before the operation began. The total count climbs as each new location gets processed, with 4,000 units becoming 6,000, then 8,000, as hidden caches get uncovered in locations ranging from suburban storage units to rural properties miles from any city. The arrests begin immediately following the raids. The facility owner gets detained at his home, still in pajamas, when federal agents knock on his door at dawn with arrest warrants. Key distributors face charges in their respective states, arrested simultaneously to prevent anyone from fleeing once news of the operation breaks. Financial managers get picked up at offices before they can access computers or destroy records that could expose additional aspects of the conspiracy. Production workers, initially questioned as witnesses, become defendants as their roles in the operation become clear through interviews and documentation. By day's end, 47 individuals sit in federal custody. Another 12 face warrants issued but remain at large, likely having fled when news of the raids broke criminal networks. Prosecutors begin assembling a RICO case encompassing the entire network, charging the owner and key figures with conspiracy, illegal manufacturing, weapons trafficking, and money laundering. The evidence collected during the raids provides overwhelming documentation of 3 years of coordinated criminal activity operating across multiple state lines. Evidence processing takes 3 weeks of around-the-clock work by specialized forensic teams. Teams catalog every seized item, photograph every location, and analyze every document recovered during the raids. Digital forensics recover encrypted communications, financial records, production schedules, and distribution lists from seized computers and phones. Ballistics experts test seized products, documenting specifications and capabilities for trial testimony. The evidence fills 2 warehouses, requiring dedicated teams just for organization and tracking. And trial preparation becomes a multi-year project involving dozens of attorneys. The public announcement comes on day 4 after the raids. Federal prosecutors hold a press conference, presenting photos of seized materials, describing the scope of the operation, and announcing charges against all defendants. The numbers shock even experienced law enforcement observers. 8 states, 14 locations, 8,000 seized units, 12 million in laundered funds, and 3 years of illegal operations hidden beneath a legitimate business facade. Media coverage dominates news cycles for a week, and congressional committees schedule hearings demanding explanations for how such operations remain undetected for so long. Subsequent investigations reveal system failures at multiple levels of oversight. State inspectors never questioned the facility's power consumption, treating it as just another data point in routine filings that didn't trigger automated alerts. Banking compliance officers never flagged unusual financial patterns because individual transactions stayed below reporting thresholds designed to catch money laundering. Shipping companies never examined truck modifications because the vehicles passed routine safety inspections that focused on mechanical reliability rather than cargo configuration. Each entity followed their protocols correctly, but nobody connected the patterns because information sharing between different oversight systems remained limited. The owner's background emerges during pre-trial proceedings. Military service, honorable discharge, and technical training in precision manufacturing provided the skills he later perverted for criminal enterprise. He started the legitimate auto shop 7 years prior, building a solid reputation in the community and establishing relationships with local businesses while passing every inspection. The underground operation began 3 years later, gradually expanding as demand increased and distribution networks developed across multiple states. He recruited former military personnel, leveraging shared backgrounds and technical skills, to build a sophisticated operation that represented a complete betrayal of training that was supposed to serve the country. Trial proceedings span 14 months and involve over 200 witnesses. Thousands of documents enter evidence, and expert witnesses explain manufacturing processes, financial structures, and distribution networks in exhaustive detail. Defense attorneys challenge evidence collection, question warrant applications, and dispute testimony credibility. But the volume of documentation proves overwhelming. The complexity requires 3 separate trials to handle all defendants, with the owner's trial lasting longest due to the volume of evidence directly connecting him to every aspect of the operation. Convictions come in waves as trials conclude. The owner receives a 25-year sentence on multiple counts, including conspiracy, illegal manufacturing, and money laundering. Key distributors get 15 to 20 years each. Financial managers receive 8 to 12 years, and production workers cooperating with prosecutors receive reduced sentences ranging from 3 to 7 years. Civil asset forfeiture proceedings seize properties, bank accounts, vehicles, and equipment, with financial penalties exceeding $30 million when all cases conclude. Though prosecutors acknowledge they'll never recover everything because some assets were hidden or transferred before the raids, the underground facility gets dismantled completely over several weeks. Heavy equipment removes all manufacturing machinery, breaking down CNC machines and precision equipment into scrap metal that can never be reassembled. Concrete crews fill in the hidden rooms, pouring thousands of cubic yards of concrete to permanently seal the space beneath the building. The building returns to legitimate use, purchased by a distribution company that installs comprehensive security measures and transparency protocols specifically designed to prevent any future concealment of illegal operations on the property. State authorities implement new inspection protocols specifically designed to detect hidden modifications, unusual power consumption patterns, and suspicious financial activities that could indicate illegal operations. Power companies flag unusual consumption patterns for immediate investigation, creating automated alerts that didn't exist before this case exposed the vulnerability in existing oversight systems. Banking institutions implement stricter monitoring protocols for businesses in high-risk categories, and shipping companies begin auditing cargo configurations more carefully to detect modifications that could conceal contraband. Legislation follows the prosecutions at both federal and state levels. New federal laws close regulatory gaps, enhance coordination between agencies, and increase penalties for illegal manufacturing operations. State legislatures pass complementary measures, tightening licensing requirements, mandating unannounced inspections, and requiring detailed utility reporting that makes it harder to hide industrial-scale operations. Industry groups develop best practices and create certification programs for legitimate operators, with the overall goal of making it exponentially harder for similar operations to establish themselves without triggering multiple red flags. The ripple effects extend across the country as other investigations launch based on patterns identified in this case. Federal agencies review energy consumption data across industrial zones nationwide, flagging anomalies for follow-up investigation by local field offices. Banking institutions implement stricter monitoring protocols, and the single operations exposure triggers a comprehensive reassessment of oversight systems that reveals vulnerabilities requiring immediate attention across multiple sectors. The case becomes a watershed moment in federal law enforcement's approach to hidden manufacturing operations. For the community surrounding the facility, the revelation brings profound shock and feelings of betrayal. Neighbors who saw nothing suspicious for years, who chatted with the owner at community events, and never imagined the business hiding such operations beneath their feet. Employees who thought they worked legitimate jobs, who believed they were just doing honest work for a fair wage and never questioned the odd hours or secretive procedures. Business partners who never suspected criminal activity, who accepted the paperwork at face value because everything appeared professional and properly documented. The owner's carefully constructed facade fooled everyone for 3 full years. Local officials face intense questions about oversight failures, about why inspections never caught the discrepancies in power consumption or financial patterns, and about what safeguards failed to protect the community. The legitimate business community worries about increased scrutiny affecting honest operations that have nothing to hide. Trust in local institutions and business relationships requires years to rebuild after such a massive betrayal of community confidence. The seized inventory presents its own unique challenges beyond the legal proceedings. Federal authorities must account for every single unit, track chain of custody through multiple facilities and storage locations, maintain security during extended legal proceedings that stretch across years, and eventually destroy the materials once all trials conclude and appeals are exhausted. The process requires specialized facilities capable of handling such volumes, trained personnel who understand proper destruction procedures, and documented protocols that satisfy legal requirements in case appeals require proof of proper destruction methods. Disposal alone takes 8 months and requires coordination between multiple federal agencies and specialized contractors. Each unit must be rendered permanently inoperable through approved destruction methods, verified destroyed through multiple inspection layers to ensure nothing remains functional, and documented for legal purposes with detailed records. The cost exceeds $2 million just for proper disposal, not counting the millions spent on storage and security during the extended legal process that accompanies such complex cases. Long-term impacts reshape industry practices across multiple sectors affected by the case. Legitimate manufacturers implement enhanced security measures, fearing that association with illegal operations could damage their reputations and business relationships. Trade associations develop certification programs, creating clear distinctions between lawful and unlawful operators that customers and business partners can verify through independent audits. Insurance companies adjust policies, requiring additional documentation and inspections before providing coverage and increasing premiums for operations in high-risk industrial categories. For federal agencies, the case becomes a crucial training example studied by new agents for years afterward. The investigation techniques, coordination methods, and evidence collection procedures all become standard curriculum in training programs. New agents study the complete case file, learning from both the successes that led to convictions and the missed opportunities early in the investigation when warning signs went unrecognized. The operational model gets replicated for other complex investigations involving multi-state criminal networks operating under legitimate business covers. 3 years after the initial raids, follow-up investigations continue as agents track weapons that entered circulation before the shutdown. They attempt to recover units still in the field, identify users who may face charges, and trace distribution chains back to their sources in the original network. Some units remain missing, likely absorbed into private collections or criminal organizations that will never voluntarily surrender them. Each recovery provides additional evidence, and sometimes leads to new cases against individuals who purchased products knowing their illegal origin or who facilitated distribution. The anonymous tipster who initiated the investigation never comes forward publicly. Federal agents know the identity, protected under witness confidentiality protocols that prevent disclosure even during trial proceedings when defense attorneys seek to challenge the investigation's origins. Speculation suggests someone connected to the operation, perhaps troubled by the scale of illegal activity, or possibly facing personal consequences that prompted cooperation with authorities. The tip's accuracy and detailed information suggest inside knowledge of operational specifics that only participants would possess. The case demonstrates both system vulnerabilities and effective law enforcement response when resources and coordination align properly. A determined criminal organization with technical expertise can exploit oversight gaps, operate sophisticated illegal operations across multiple jurisdictions, and maintain them for years while appearing completely legitimate to casual observers. But coordinated federal action, when properly resourced and executed with patience and methodical investigation, can dismantle even complex networks operating across state lines. The balance between preventing crime and preserving space for legitimate business operations remains an ongoing challenge. Urban industrial zones continue hosting thousands of legitimate operations that follow regulations, operate transparently, and contribute positively to local economies. The challenge lies in distinguishing honest businesses from elaborate facades without creating unbearable regulatory burdens that harm legitimate operators trying to compete in difficult markets. Risk assessment models continue improving, using data analysis and pattern recognition to identify anomalies that warrant closer investigation. But human judgment remains essential in the process, identifying subtle indicators and contextual factors that purely algorithmic approaches might miss completely. The facility's legacy serves as both warning and education for law enforcement and legitimate industry operators alike. Similar operations likely exist today, equally sophisticated and equally concealed, operating right now in industrial zones across the country while appearing completely legitimate. Federal agencies maintain constant vigilance, continuously updating detection methods, improving coordination between different jurisdictions, and refining investigative techniques based on lessons learned from cases like this one. The goal isn't just prosecuting criminals after discovery, but preventing such operations from establishing themselves initially through better oversight and early detection. For the individuals convicted in this case, prison sentences represent years separated from families, communities, and lives built before criminal choices led them down this destructive path. Some express genuine remorse during sentencing hearings, acknowledging the harm caused and accepting responsibility for their actions. Others maintain they merely provided a service to meet existing market demand, arguing that the real problem lies in policy rather than their actions. The legal system makes no such distinction when determining consequences, focusing instead on intent, scale, and actual impact of criminal activity. The story concludes not with celebration, but with clear-eyed awareness of ongoing challenges that persist despite successful prosecutions. The operation got shut down, the network destroyed, and the arsenal seized and destroyed through proper channels. But the underlying market demand that funded this operation persists, creating opportunities for new operators willing to take similar risks in different locations. Supply chains adapt to enforcement pressure, new concealment methods get employed, and different strategies emerge as criminals learn from predecessors' mistakes. Law enforcement achieved a significant victory in this particular case, but the broader challenge continues without foreseeable end. Vigilance remains essential because complacency invites repetition of these criminal enterprises. The work never truly ends. It only moves to new fronts, new jurisdictions, and new challenges that require sustained commitment and adequate resources to address effectively.